In today's Walser Wealth segment, our resident tax attorney and wealth strategist Rebecca Walser wants to challenge convention. What does that mean? How can we do that? Let's find out. Good morning.
Good morning, Carly. Thank you so much. We have our logo, which is basically challenging the wisdom of convention. That is our motto at Walser Wealth. So I love this topic.
Yes, I know. We've talked about it before, but it's so important that I love that we keep bringing it up because this really is the root of what it is that you're doing with your clients.
Absolutely. Why continue to go down a path that fails? And we can prove that the traditional path, since pensions are out the window for 99% of people, if they do not have a pension, the traditional path of simply contributing to a 401k will fail. That has been mathematically proven over and over and over. So, you know, I have this little chart up here that says difficult times disrupt your conventional ways of thinking and push you to forge a better habit of thought, performance, and being.
And I feel like this is relatively somewhat new because we're kind of dealing with the first and second generation of this big switch in how we are doing our
second generation, 40 years later. Absolutely right. I guess that's more than two, but 4 decades, 40 years since the 80s when the 401k came out, and now these people are actually retiring. So if we can go to our next slide, we actually have a savings gap slide, which tells you this is what you should be contributing depending on where you are in life. And there's people, anybody that thinks that 10% is a lot to contribute to your future self is not doing it, right? But 9% is on the low end. If you're making $50,000 or less, you should be doing at least 9% for your future self. 50 to 100,000, 12%. And if you're making over 100,000, you should be putting 15% of your salary aside for your future self. So that dollar that comes to you after tax, 85% is current self, 15% should be future self. And if you don't do it, your future self is not going to be happy with you when he arrives.
And it goes back to that, I think, you know, certainly my generation, my peers, we're thinking we are doing that if we're contributing to our 401k. The problem with enough.
The problem with the 401k is $18,000 is all you can contribute per year unless you're over 50, and then you can do an extra 6. So $24,000 is the most. If you're doing $100,000 a year or up, let's say $200,000 a year, 15% is $30,000. You are limited with the 401k. And most people, the bigger problem is, Carly, most people do not contribute what they need to be contributing. They just do not put enough aside to replace what a company pension would have provided them had they had one.
Well, and sometimes I think it's easier for people to not look, not do the research, and I think they're worried about what they may find, but that financial peace of mind is something that is available. There's hope.
That you just described to me let me put, as the ostrich does, let me put my head in the sand, and then whatever is happening above me is not actually happening. That will work as long as you're not retired. Once you retire, you're going to have that head pulled out of the sand and see what has actually happened, because you have avoided the problem all those years, and you're not going to be happy with yourself. You're going to be so upset with yourself. People do not like to go from a standard of living that's up here and spending it all to going on to retirement and Social Security and having it come down here. You've got to prepare yourself to actually help yourself have a better life.
And obviously the best way to prepare yourself is to make sure you have the right team who is looking at the big picture, looking at what you want to do when you retire, and certainly that is why you encourage people to call you. Don't wait, do it today.
Do it today, absolutely.
Financial peace of mind is available. So there's the website to see more about Rebecca and her team, and then of course the number to call as well. We look forward to seeing you next week, Rebecca.
Thanks, Carly.